You ever hear about a story so outrageous it feels like a scene straight out of a movie? Well, this one's about a stubborn grandpa, a nosy HOA patrol, and a gate that shocked more than just their pride. But before we dive in, comment below what country you're watching from. I love seeing just how far these stories travel. It was a warm Saturday afternoon in a quiet suburban neighborhood. The kind of day where lawns were perfectly trimmed, sprinklers ticked back and forth, and the faint smell of barbecue hung in the air. On the porch of a white-painted house at the end of Maplewood Lane sat Grandpa Joe. 75 years old, tall with shoulders that hadn't slouched a day in his life. He rocked gently in his old wooden chair, sipping sweet iced tea from a mason jar. Next to him, the family dog, Duke, snored lazily at his feet. Behind the house stood a 6-foot wooden fence, tall and sturdy, built by Grandpa himself after years of HOA complaints about his non-standard lawn ornaments and unapproved shed color. That fence was his line in the sand, and the HOA patrol, well, they didn't like being kept out. The HOA patrol was led by a man named Mr. Collins, a 40-something with neatly pressed khakis and a clipboard that seemed permanently glued to his hand. He had a habit of peeking into people's yards, jotting notes, and issuing warnings for things like a trash bin's visible or a garden gnome too tall. Grandpa had warned him before, "My property, my rules. You set foot in here again and you'll regret it." But that Saturday, as kids rode their bikes down the street and neighbors watered flowers, Mr. Collins and his patrol decided to test Grandpa one more time. Grandpa saw them coming before they even reached the gate. 3 men in polo shirts, all with clipboards, walking briskly, whispering among themselves like they were about to conduct some official raid. From his porch, Grandpa leaned back, muttering, "Here we go again." He had been waiting for this. See, a week earlier, Collins had climbed over the fence uninvited to inspect Grandpa's backyard. Grandpa caught him red-handed, boots in the flower bed. They argued until Collins left in a huff, threatening consequences. That night, Grandpa went to work in the garage. With his old electrician's toolkit, a spool of wire, and a sly grin, he rigged the gate with a low-voltage electric current. Not dangerous, just enough to teach a lesson. The patrol stopped at the gate. Collins tapped it with his pen. "This doesn't meet HOA standards," he declared. One of the younger men asked nervously, "Are we supposed to go in?" Collins adjusted his sunglasses. "We go where we need to go." And with that, he gripped the wooden slats of the gate, hoisted himself up, and swung one leg over. Grandpa, still rocking on the porch, took a slow sip of his iced tea, eyes never leaving the scene. "BZZZT." Collins yelped. His sunglasses nearly flew off his face as he jerked back, scrambling like a startled cat. "What on earth was that?" he shouted, shaking his hand. The 2 younger patrol members froze. One stammered, "Yes, sir, I think it's electrified." Grandpa leaned forward, cupping his hands around his mouth. "A fence don't like trespassers, Collins," he called out, his voice steady and amused. Collins' face turned red. He tried to muster authority. "You can't do this. It's against regulations." Grandpa grinned. Funny. Not funny. So is climbing over another man's fence. By now, neighbors had begun peeking out from their porches. A couple across the street paused their gardening. Kids on bikes slowed down, whispering and pointing. Collins, embarrassed, waved his clipboard like a sword. "This is harassment. I'll report you." But every time he reached toward the gate, a little arc of static hissed, daring him to try again. His 2 colleagues shook their heads and stepped back. Sir, maybe we should just leave it." Collins glared, but the truth was clear. He'd lost. And all the while, Grandpa sat there, cool as ever, rocking in his chair, Duke wagging his tail like he understood the joke. Finally, Collins snapped his clipboard shut. "This isn't over," he barked, retreating down the sidewalk. The other patrol members followed quickly, one of them still chuckling under his breath. As they disappeared around the corner, Grandpa raised his glass in a mock toast. Don't come back without an invitation. The neighbors, who had gathered in small clusters, broke into quiet laughter and applause. One even called out, "A nice one, Joe." Grandpa simply leaned back, satisfied, and muttered to Duke, "Sometimes all it takes is a little spark to keep the pests away." That day became legend on Maplewood Lane. The story of Grandpa and his electrified gate spread like wildfire, reminding everyone that respect for boundaries, literal and personal, wasn't something you could enforce with a clipboard. He just enjoyed his tea, rocking slow on that porch, waiting to see if the HOA would ever be bold enough to try again. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild neighborhood tales just like this one. And remember, sometimes the best defense is a good laugh.